This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothas Podcast. My name is Keenan. Not joined by Kyle, but we do have Brandon. We do have Timmy here. Kyle is watching basketball. He should be talking to us soon about basketball. But guys, this is NFL season. NFL draft just happened. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. How you doing?
I'm good. Timmy, you good?
Doing pretty good. Can't really complain.
I love it. For people who aren't familiar with us, obviously, Brandon, diehard Jags fan. Timmy, diehard Giants fan. Keenan, me, diehard Patriots fan. We all had active drafts. We were all within the top 5 this year picking. So this is a big draft for all of us. We're going to go through, talk about our teams, and then we're going to go through a little draft style, talking about different teams throughout different portions of this draft. But we're going to start with Timmy. I'm interested because Timmy had one of the more interesting moves in the first round as a Giants fan. Obviously, the Jags did too. We'll get to that. But Timmy, how did you feel about the Giants draft overall? You can talk first round, and then talk the rest of the rounds too. What did you feel about their draft overall?
I'm pretty happy with how this draft went, to be completely honest. I think a lot of people are going to push a lot of hate towards the Jackson Dart. I think inevitably it does make sense. They had a first or second round grade on him, and it does make sense to get a QB in the first round to get the 5th-year option. That does give you a little bit more flexibility down the road if he is the guy. So I'm fine with it. I know talking to other people in our fantasy league, I'm kind of on the train that I think he's going to sit for hopefully a year, but other people don't think that he makes it, 2 months into the season before he has to play. I think Russ has the job. And that's what I would like to see, is just Russ come in and just win 7 or 8 games, save Daboll's job, and then maybe next year is when Dart takes over. That's my hope. Abdul Carter's a home run. You can't really miss that. No matter what team would have drafted him, if you traded up, if the Jags traded up and took him there, that's still a home run to me. So, love that pick. I kind of really like our draft. I think we had a very solid draft. They did give up quite a bit to move up into the first there, so they didn't have a second, which kind of sucked, but I think they made it pretty well. I kind of like our defense a lot more than I liked it last year, and I was already pretty high on it last year. So I'm a fan of the Giants draft.
The NFL Network, they actually rated it an A. You have it written on A or A- on all 3 days. I love the pick. I love Scadaboo pick. I thought Scadaboo was a great pick.
My favorite pick. My favorite pick. Just let him run through somebody's face. Just give him the ball. I don't care.
He is perfect because he can do a little bit of everything. Like, he can block, he can run, he can receive, and if you need him to, he can throw one. We did see him against Texas throw that bomb down the field there too. So, Scadaboo can do a little bit of everything. He is such a Bill Belichick guy that I was like, man, the Patriots going to get him. Obviously, we don't have Belichick. We have Vrabel, but we got Travion Henderson, and I was happy there. Get a little behind the curtain here. Brandon, 2 hours before the draft, when there was talks about Hunter possibly going there and the Jags trading up to 2, he was like, oh, guys, we're getting up to 2. The second he got up to 2, I think his back might have been thrown out again. But,
It was.
but you trade up to 2, you get Travis Hunter. They want him to play both sides of the ball at least a little bit. But overall, Brandon, what do you think about the draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I loved it. I think – so we've never really been aggressive, in past drafts under Trent Baalke. And I kind of honestly thought it was smoke and mirror, the whole kind of report of us trading up for Travis Hunter. I could see James Gladstone, our GM, liking him because, he's just, he's great. He's such a versatile player. That's what he covets. So when they actually announced the trade up shortly after Cleveland got on the clock, I actually jumped up off the couch, and ran at the TV, and I was like, hold on, I got to slow down a little bit, but I love it. A lot of people graded it fairly well. I've seen some analysts and experts, quote unquote, say that we gave up too much. I don't think we did. Like, I understand you gave up the second round this year, you gave up the first next year, but like you're getting two players technically. Yes, you're getting one theoretically, but like you're getting a guy that's going to play wide receiver and corner, and he's going to play it at a high level. And let's face it, if Hunter came out as a receiver or just a corner, he probably would have had top 10 grades for both positions. And I like our depth too. Like, um, third round, we drafted Caleb Ransaw, a corner out of Tulane. He's going to play safety though. He's probably going to start at free safety for us over Darnell Savage by year's end. Um, we took a guard tackle, kind of tweener, kind of like another Will Campbell guy, shorter arms, Wyatt Milne out of West Virginia. He graded fairly well, I think 92nd percentile in run blocking, and 97th percentile in pass blocking, I think. I would be surprised if he starts at left guard over Ezra Cleveland. I love the running back we drafted in the fourth round, Bayshaw Tootin. I wanted another running back. I think Travis Etienne's going to get traded at some point during the offseason or maybe during the season. Fastest running back, I think, in the draft this year, ran a 4.32. He's got size. Kind of plays like Bucky Irving, and I really think that's how Liam Cohen's going to use him. I think it's going to be him and Tank Bigsby. And then we got depth with our 6th and 7th round draft choices. Took Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame, their Mike linebacker. But I love our draft. I mean, I thought that receiver was a need. We got it with Hunter, obviously. We got some defensive line depth with an edge rusher. Got some safeties, obviously a corner with Travis Hunter. But I love it. I mean, it's one of my favorite drafts in the past couple of years for the Jags.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat, and obviously it's draft night, and you talk yourself into every pick. Like,
Yeah.
Brandon, you and I talking about the Miami Heat draft last year, we were like, "Oh, Dalton Connect's there. Go get Dalton Connect. Go get Dalton Connect." And then they took Khalil Ware, and you were like, "I don't love the pick." 30 minutes later, you're like, "I like the pick."
Love it.
I love the pick. You talk yourself into like the pick. You're like, yeah, like, I mean, and Miami knows what they're doing. Like, you can't even question because Khalil Ware looked good this year, especially towards the second half of the season, NBA wise. But NFL wise, I'm a guy, Patriots fan here. I'm a guy who very much enjoys watching. This is a different iteration of life for me. From the moment I was 4 years old, it was 2000, 2001, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and then it was in the Tom Brady era. And so now I'm in this weird, I don't know what it's kind of like to have to go year in, year out, not knowing what this team's like. So, like, this year's draft was fun for me. It's fun, like, learning about, like, oh, man, I actually have to really care about the first round of the draft. Instead of being like, oh, who are we getting at 28 through 32? We'll figure it. Probably some defensive player that we don't know about. Get some guy out of Rutgers in third round who will be just a really good player for us. So it's actually really nice to be in this position. And it was the first draft really that I feel like I like our regime for it. We have Mike Vrabel, who is not under the Bill Belichick like eye, because Gerard Mayo, as he was his own person, at the same time he went still under the Belichick tree. We're really getting a Mike Vrabel who is getting his own kind of coordinators and his own twist on what the Patriot way is going to kind of be. So I like the pick of Will Campbell at number 4. I think that Will Campbell is going to be a nice player in this draft this year. I think he's going to be nice. I love the Travion Henderson pick. Absolutely love that pick. We needed a home run guy at the running back position. We have been in this position where it's been Ramondre, who is solid, great between the tackles. Last year had a fumbling problem. Antonio Gibson, solid receiving back, but nothing great. And now we got a guy in Travion Henderson who I think will be our first, and I would love him to be our first and second down back at least by like week 4 or 5. I think he has that kind of capability. We saw him last year at Ohio State, him and Judkins doing very well. Then we get Kyle Williams out of Washington State.
Love that pick.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot too. So like we went offense, and that's what we need. The defense is always going to be good there. Like it's the Ravens essentially, where like the Ravens over the last couple of years, sometimes they've been up and down, but for the most part, the Ravens is like they'll figure out defense. Like their organization just figured out defense. We just figure out defense, and I'm so glad that we went on an offensive we went down the offensive path. And then even at 4, when we get Jared Wilson out of Georgia, the fact that we're getting these guys out of big schools on something that I like. Like SEC prospects, like if Will Campbell can go against Alabama, go against Georgia, go against these other schools in the SEC, Tennessee, and not allow sacks, I feel more comfortable. I feel comfortable about it.
Yep.
Like if you're going to go in there and you're going to play against teams that have NFL pros littered all over the roster, yeah, I'm going to feel comfortable when you have maybe James Pierce around the corner and you're actually blocking him fine. So I love the Patriots draft. I love what they did. I think they're building from the inside out. We've got the quarterback. We've got the coach. Now we're building each line, and then from there we'll see what we're going to get on the outside. And receiver-wise, Kyle Williams doesn't have to try to come in and be a 1. Like we had tried to have Jalen Polk come in to be a 1. We've got Stephon Diggs, regardless how you feel about him or not. I think he is good enough to be – his name's giving him 1 attention. Like that alone is going to give him like, okay, that's Stephon Diggs. We understand that if he's healthy, he's someone who can easily get 1,000 yards. Matt Collins has played in the number 2, number 3 role for the last few years in Buffalo, depending if he was with Diggs or if not, he like this year around with Amari Cooper came in and out. They had Keon Coleman, that was a guy, Keon Coleman. So, like, he's been in that number 2, 3 role. Then you can get Kyle Williams in there to kind of put him into different situations, along with Pop Douglas, along with Kendrick Bourne. Is it a great receiving core? I'm not going to try to make it sound like it is. Is it better than what we've had over the last few years? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy with everything that the Patriots have done. And I know it's hard to come into it and be like, yeah, our team sucks now because of our draft. But I think getting Travis Hunter for you, getting Abdul Carter and a quarterback for the future for Timmy, for me, getting a left tackle that can hopefully protect Drake May, and then getting a home run hitter at running back, I think all of us have a reason to be happy about our draft. But from our favorite teams to some other teams, we're going to kind of go through this in draft style. Timmy, I'm going to allot you 1-1. Brandon, I'm allotting you 1-2. I'm going to be 1-3. So what we're going to try to do is maybe give a category like best draft, worst draft. Timmy picks his team at 1-1. So then Brandon cannot touch that team at 1. And then he's going to go on there. We're going to kind of try to talk about these teams, get some more opinions in here. But we're not going to start with best draft. We're going to talk about the most surprising move of this draft. Timmy, pick 1-1. What is your pick for the most surprising move in this draft?
This can just be a pick, right?
This can be a trade, a pick,
anything.
Someone falling. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be literally what's the most surprising move or even lack thereof move in this entire draft for you, Timmy. What is it?
Gotcha. So there were a couple in the first round. I don't want to give an honorable mention because you might draft it, but I'll just say Emeka Egbuka to the Buccaneers surprised the hell out of me. I did not think he would go that early. I was thinking he was an end of the first round guy, not towards that middle-ish zone. And to me, it kind of shocked me. Like, does Tampa kind of not think Godwin's going to be healthy? Do they think Mike Evans is already on the way out? Because they even had Jalen McMillan, who looked pretty great at the end of the season there. Yep. So I was not on the radar of them having a wide receiver in the first round at all. This sounded exactly like a draft where they would just load up on a defensive premium position and just move with it. But that surprised the hell out of me when they took Egbuka there. But I will say, he is definitely a first-round wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
He deserves to be exactly in that range. Like, you could have taken him 15th overall, 12th overall, and that wouldn't have bothered me any. So he's a great player. Hopefully he succeeds. It just, the fit didn't seem... That's what surprised me the most.
It seemed like almost the rich getting richer, and they had other areas that they could address. So, like, when the rich get richer, but they could do other things, it's like, does Mike Evans only have like 2 years left? Is Chris Godwin not healing himself properly? How did you guys not feel the same way about McMillan? Like, so I think it's interesting, but I think him with Baker, who has proven to be a top 10 quarterback in this league over the last few years for sure. I think that he's gonna do well in Tampa. Brandon at 1-2, you are on the clock.
So I'm gonna go with another team versus Jacksonville. I don't want to say Jacksonville. I'm going to go with the Cowboys at 12 drafting Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama.
Yeah.
great player, great offensive lineman. If I'm not mistaken, I think on the big board for ESPN, he was somewhere in the 30s or 40s. I could be wrong. Um, there were other offensive linemen that were available at that pick. And honestly, too, I expected I thought they were going to go Tedero and McMillan. Obviously, T-Mac went at 8 to the Panthers. I honestly thought it was going to be Amarian Hampton, the running back from North Carolina, or Matthew Golden, the receiver from Texas.
Yep.
Because they need a number 2 opposite the CD Lamb. They come out, they announce the pick. I understand Zach Martin retired, and I understand you want to replace him, but I thought that was extremely rich for Tyler Booker. And even then, like, you could have taken Jalen Walker, got another edge rusher. He was still on the board at that point in time. You know, if you didn't want a wide receiver, like, I know you have Jake Ferguson, but like Tyler Warren was still there. I don't think they would have picked Tyler Warren, but like I think they could have talked themselves into it.
Yeah.
It was just very confusing with that pick because the value wasn't there. Like there were better players on the board at that point in time. I actually want to see who went past them. I got the order pulled up
you're
right
good.
here. So Tyler Booker was
12.
51 overall
geez.
on ESPN's big board.
Mm-hmm.
85 prospect grade, number 2 offensive guard. So an extreme reach. Like I said, I mean, Walter Nolan was there, Javon Walker. They could have went Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, Seattle's pick. I would have went there, but that was.
Listen, they could have went a Mecca. Like
Yeah.
Mecca fits there. Like they need like someone across from CD Lamb to take pressure off of him. They could have went a Mecca, and that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't really get it. And even like during the draft coverage, like Mel Kiper was shocked. You know, Lewis Riddick was shocked. Like these guys were like, you know, cool, like, you know, whatever. But like, I think it was Lewis Riddick at one point. He was like, it's a little too rich for him to be going at this spot because he doesn't play at a Pro Bowl level. Then like, you know, it's kind of a wash of a pick. So that I was extremely shocked.
Yes, no, that pick shocked me too. And the thing about the Cowboys is they draft offensive line great. So even he probably will pan out. Like they draft offensive line well. It's just that like I get that you build your team inside out, but they're also a team that just needs more. I don't know. I would have gotten another weapon. I would have gotten myself another weapon. Or even so, like I think Tyler Warren would have fit that team very well. I think Emeka would have fit that team well. I think there's other things that they could have gone to, in my personal opinion. Go on.
And Javonte Williams, like that's your starting running back. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Javonte Williams is our starting running back. Like ever since his knee injury, he's been kind of washed. I know he's still young, but like, I mean, Amarian Hampton was like 11th or 12th on the big board. Like the value's there. Like I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, go on, Timmy.
I did love his energy coming through the tunnel. He's definitely like super hype person, which sounds like a great person to have in your locker room. But my favorite part of his like interview is he pauses and he goes, "Shout out to God." And I've never heard that before, but it made me laugh when I saw it live. It was great.
Yeah, but, shout out to God is crazy.
Shout out to my boy God for looking out.
It is crazy. Normally, it's like, oh man, all glory be up to God. Like He's been able to get me through this path and put me on this journey. Like God, I appreciate all my faith is in the Lord. But like, hey, yo, shout out my boy God. Like, he's one of them. He's one of them real ones. What do you mean? Yeah, shout out to God. Shout out to God, Jesus, Abraham, all the boys. Oh, that's funny. No, that did make me laugh when I saw that. For me, obviously Shedeur is a shock. We'll probably talk about him at some point. Obviously, the trade up to 2, which was what Brandon was alluding to, huge shock. Trying to stay away from those 2 obvious ones. We'll probably touch on those like later on. But Jalen Walker going to 15 to Atlanta, I thought that was a great pick from Atlanta. And I was shocked that he got down to 15 because there was a few teams. I thought the 49ers might take him. They ended up going Williams out of Georgia instead of there. There was just a couple options that you could have that he could have went. And I was surprised because I thought he was going to be almost a surefire top 10 pick. He ends up slipping down to 15, and then Atlanta also gets James Pierce. So I like what Atlanta did there in the first round. They're getting that defense situated in a way that they didn't have it last year. That was really their biggest problem, was the fact that they had no defense.
Sacks.
I was gonna say they couldn't get to the quarterback. They had their passing game was up and down at best, depending on what Kirk Cousins you got, and then Penix was fine at the end. They have one of the most talented running backs in the league, and then they have weapons, and it was just like they couldn't get to the quarterback. So I like that pick a lot of Walker, and then I like the fact that they got Pierce, but I thought that Walker slide a little bit was shocking. Also, another thing real quick, since I went third, I can kind of just say it. Will Johnson slipping out of the first round surprised me a little bit. Austin was talking to me, and he guessed he had something with his knee that he's only going to get like maybe 6 good years out of him. And I was like,
yeah, they said that his physical was like the big problem with all the teams that interviewed with him. It wasn't anything to do with tape or talent or anything. It's literally just health. That's the biggest thing holding him back.
And I get it. I get him slipping out of maybe the first round, but like where did he go? Like I can't
Arizona. I think he went at like 48 or something.
He was their second pick.
I would have, if I'm the Bengals, I'm not gonna lie, I would have done it. What kind of time frame you're on? I'm like, instantly I was like, oh, Will Johnson slipping. I was like, the Bengals, that would be a perfect spot for him, because you've got, all right, so we're in the AFC. We need defense. Let's go get ourselves a lockdown corner. We obviously, the secondary was a huge issue last year. I understand it's only 6 years, but hey, he's on his rookie contract. He gets a second contract, and maybe he's out of there. And you never know. What if something health-wise changes and he's fine? You're playing for now, and he's a now guy. He's a now winner. Yeah, so I would have gotten him if I'm Cincinnati. That's personally what my feeling was. But okay, since Timmy's 1-1, he is still 1-1. That was the most surprising move of the draft. We're going to. What was the best pick of the draft? 1-1. We're going to go. It can be an individual pick, or if you kind of want to switch it to team, you can have like a team that had like the best draft overall because they have multiple picks. But best pick of this year's NFL draft, and you can have different ways around it. Timmy, on you. Timmy Gray is on the clock.
I don't see, this one's tough because there were a ton of great picks, and there were a lot of people that I liked a lot, especially for fantasy football, that went super late, and I'm sure we'll talk about them later.
Yep.
I think the Colts getting Tyler Warren at 14 is an unbelievable value. He was right at the top 10. People had him mocked all the way up at 7 to the Jets, I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Kyle before the draft, and I said that I possibly wanted the Giants to pull off 2 seconds in Kayvon Thibodeau to move up into the middle of the first to try to get Tyler Warren on the roster. I think he is going to be similar to Brock Bowers, where he does everything great. He can block, he can catch, he can go yak. If he really needs to, he'll run a guy over. Like him falling all the way to 14, mainly because Loveland went at 10. I just thought that was really, really good value for the Colts. Everybody was saying, yeah, if he gets to the Colts, that's a great pick, but there's no way he gets to the Colts. He did. And I think it's going to be a great pick.
Okay, I'm with you 100% there.
Yeah.
Round 2, pick 2. Brandon, you're on the clock. Most best pick. And you're okay to be a homer here. If you think it's Hunter, you're okay to be a homer.
I'm not going to be a homer. I don't. That's coping. That's taking the easy way out there. I'm gonna go with there's like 3 or 4. I'm gonna go with the second round pick. Actually, I'm gonna go with Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall to the Ravens. Led the FBS in sacks last year. Had 17 sacks. He had some off the field stuff, which I understand the slide a little bit. I think there was like some sexual assault stuff going on there. Ravens checked it out. They were more than comfortable with taking him. They got him at 59th overall. He was, I think, a top 20 player on the big board. Excellent pass rusher. Like, I think the value is great there because that's a guy that probably comes in and starts day one. Like, especially if he comes into training camp and works his butt off. Like, to get a top-tier edge rusher in the draft like that at that draft slot, I think is pretty damn good, honestly. So especially that, I was surprised that he slid. I understand the off the field stuff, but like he was getting mocked consistently 15th to 20th, and for you to fall to 58, 59, like that, like it's kind of crazy, you know.
In 2 years, he's gonna be the type of guy you're like, man, the Ravens got themselves a star, and it's gonna be like, oh, how'd they sneak him? It's like, oh, he fell because of off the field issues. It's like, okay, it feels just like a Ravens guy who's just built to be a star in the future.
I do
Really
have.
does.
I'll wait for yours. There was one more. There was one other one that I love, but I don't know if you'll pick it or
Is
not.
yours second round or no?
Second round, yeah.
Okay, you can say it. Mine's not second round.
Okay. Andrew Macumba to the Eagles, the safety out of Texas. They let go of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I wanted him in Jacksonville. Like that was like, if we still had a second round pick, that was the guy that I wanted. Great pick. He's probably also going to be a starter from day one for them. Like excellent ball hawking safety, like center fielder kind of player. Great pick there too. Great value.
Yes. He played well at Texas last year. I definitely like that pick a lot. For me, it's a first round pick. And it goes, I think it was pick 22. Let me make sure it was 22. I think Hampton going to the Chargers is going to be nasty. I think we saw last year, Timmy talked about it even before last year. We're like, okay, Jim Harbaugh and the way that he runs his offense, it's going to be a ground and pound kind of team. He's just going to look at Justin Herbert, say, be good on third down, don't turn the ball over. And then at the end of the year, he started to do Justin Herbert things until he went to the playoff and did, I guess, Justin Herbert things and threw 4 picks. But anyways, now you've gotten a situation last year where J.K. Dobbins did really well, but Hampton has talent. Like there were obviously mocks that had him up close to. I know there people were trying to be like he might be even better than Genty. Like there was a couple of things where like okay, like him and Genty were like neck and neck for kind of things. But I think Hampton going to the Chargers is going to be someone who's going to make an instant impact. And for fantasy purposes, like I think he could be a guy that maybe goes third or fourth round in drafts because people don't know much about him, but he could be a top 10 running back year one. Just because I think he's going to get the usage, he has the talent, and they have a good offensive line to begin with. So I think he might be like 13 ranked fantasy-wise. I don't know what it's going to be, obviously, but he is somebody, and I'm in the same league as Timmy, and so whatever, unfortunate. But he's going to be somebody who I'm like, yeah, if I can sneak this guy, I'm going to sneak this guy. There are a few rookies where I'm like, I kind of want to draft him because I think that he has a big chance. But
they're good fantasy landing spot. Great, honestly.
Yes.
It is kind of confusing, though. They did just sign that deal with Najee, so that was a confusing one. So it kind of muddies the water there, but I do think he'll win the job out. I do think he is a better running back than Najee is. He was one of those guys that a lot of people had mocked to the Cowboys, and if it wasn't the Cowboys, they had a mock to the Broncos. So it was a pretty good get for them to get him there at 22.
Yeah, absolutely. I just felt like, again, with the Cowboys, I just thought they could go skill position. Like, I really thought they were going to go skill position, and, like...
They just did.
They should have just taken Shedeur, man.
No, they genuinely, in, like, third or fourth round, should have taken Shedeur. Like, I'm not even kidding about that. Like, I understand they traded for Joe Milton, and they have Dak Prescott, but, like, Shedeur, man, like, if you also wanted Dion, you could have locked having Dion and been like, yo, we drafted your son.
What's his name's going to get fired at the end of the year anyways, Schottenheimer, so they might as well have just, instead of trading that, fourth round pick for Milton, they could have just taken Shedeur and then got Dion next year. It would have worked out.
Yeah, no, like, obviously, and like that would have just been perfect. And it would have been a perfect fit to have Shedeur and a Cowboys. Oh my God. All right. Actually, since we're talking about him now, let's just get it out of the way, because obviously he's the biggest name of the draft. Like, talk about most surprising things too. Cam Ward just not getting covered like a number one pick. Like he's been talked about.
I hate ESPN, man. I was texting you guys in the group chat. Mel Kiper I'm so sick of him. I'm just so annoyed. Like, we know who the number one pick is, but he like refused to say anything about Cam Ward. He just said, yeah, if I was the Titans, I'd be taking Shedeur tonight. Well, you're not the Titans. You're just a dude that makes a mock draft every year that people seem to think is like the gold standard, even though he hasn't been right on like anything in the last like 10 years. It was so annoying to hear him talk about Shedeur because he does not have any inside knowledge that any of these GMs have, and he's just talking out his ass. Like, yes, the tape is there. It's not as good as he thinks it is.
And like just like and regardless if you feel that could have been Shedeur, if you wanted to mention it, you could have been. But it's been like, oh man, I thought like Shedeur, I think is a great prospect too, and I think he's on Cam Ward's level. Possibly could have went there, but they did go Cam Ward, and Cam Ward has X, Y, and Z. So if you did need to get that out, you could have just said something along those lines and then went right into Cam Ward coverage. But literally, Cam Ward was like pick 120. Like Jackson Dart's gonna get more talk than Cam Ward. And that makes sense because obviously you trade into the first round, but Jackson Dart's really getting that talk because it wasn't Shedeur taking that 20. So like I just think it's so crazy that Cam Ward's going to come in. Obviously, he has the pressure of being the 1-1, but not media wise. It's in Tennessee. They don't talk about Tennessee, and he's just gonna, unless he's really, really good, they're just not gonna talk about him. It's crazy.
It didn't help out either that as soon as like they kind of cut to him in the green room, and obviously he came out, got the jersey from Goodell, but like as soon as Cleveland went on the clock, that's when Jacksonville's trade up was announced. So I think that also, like obviously Kuiper with his Shedeur Sanders rants, but like when that trade went down, then I think like all eyes went to that, and it was like because at that point I think in a lot of people's eyes that was a bigger story than Cam Ward going number one, and like honestly like Cam still should have been on him. Like he was the number one overall pick.
Yeah, no, like, and I get it. That trade at 2 is a bigger story because we expected Cam Ward to go number 1, but it would have also been cool, like, if we treated him like, I mean, Caleb Williams was a number 1 pick last year. I understand there wasn't a trade at 2, but like we showed him, we talked about him. We kept talking about him. We talked about him before. We talked about him after. Like, we just continue to talk about Caleb Williams. And I understand Caleb Williams has all the talent in the world. We'll see if he can produce in Chicago in year 2. But, like, Cam Ward's just like, okay, I guess. Like, I'm just a guy, apparently. I'm not even, like, every talk show's talking about, like, oh, Shedeur's going here. Shedeur's going there. Shedeur's going there. And then it's like, okay, like imagine if Cam Ward was Cam Sanders, he would have been talked about insanely. Like he would have been consistently like, oh, Shedeur's the trade would have been almost secondary. It would be like, oh my gosh, Travis Hunter. Okay, that's fine. like guess whatever. But whatever, crazy. But it is also crazy. I did not expect him to go down to the 5th round. That was crazy. I didn't expect that. Like. From what you were hearing, okay, falling out of the first was like, I didn't expect it, but it made semi-sense. But 5th round, that literally just lets you know everything you need. Like, people didn't like his interviews, and the skill didn't outweigh it. Because as you were talking about earlier, there are players in this year's draft, sexual assault, here, there, everything, but they're like, you know what, he's really good. We're going to take him and deal with it. Like, we're just going to take him. But, hey, I mean, it just shows that people don't value Shedeur the same way they value these other quarterbacks like Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, to the Saints in the 2nd round. 26 years old.
Okay, so
that's a bad pick.
That was a terrible, but
it's a Kellen Moore thing. Pick. Like it might work. I don't know.
His first year in college, Lamar Jackson was getting drafted into the NFL. Lamar Jackson, the guy who has won 2 MVPs, been to an AFC championship game, has literally taken the league by storm. That guy. Yeah. Okay.
Justin Herbert was also the quarterback at Oregon, too, whenever he was there, because Tyler Shuck was at Oregon at one point.
Yeah, that's insane. He lost the job multiple times. Like, it's like, but, okay. Like a Jalen Milroe kind of pick, I understand. The upside, the athleticism, We can fine tune the throwing. We've seen quarterbacks become better throwing, but you can build offense. If you want to take that before Shedeur because you're like, I can work with that, Tyler Shuck. Oh,
Dylan
Shuck.
Gabriel is another one too. Dylan Gabriel, I did not understand in the third round. I love Dylan Gabriel, but like, what are we doing?
And we drafted both of them.
That's my biggest thing. Is I actually
both.
I don't want to like give anything away here, but I love the Browns draft this year. But 2 QBs in back-to-back rounds, like, what are we doing? Like, there's no way you're going to be able to tell if both these guys are starting level QBs. Like, you just kind of wasted a 5th-round pick. Like, pick one, move on with it, and you're good to go. Like, their QB room right now is kind of a nightmare. I have no idea what to think about it.
It's 5 and a quarter. Like, and if and also my first thought was Shedeur too, when it was like, if Shedeur is as good as he thinks he is and other people thinks he is, he should be the least quarterback 2 by the end of the season. You can't Kenny Pickett, old Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun ACL or Deshaun Achilles, and him. Like, if you're better than Dylan Gabriel, you'll show it in camp. Joe Flacco, sure, he'll probably be the week 1 starter because he's a veteran. You should be. Kenny Pickett's not good. Deshaun Watson, I guess, is no longer good. Like, there's no. Like, he could legitimately, if he's that good, he should be probably starting, but at least if not second string by like week 16. Like, you should be like, okay, he's number 2. But if he's not, that should probably also tell you a little something about him too.
And he's got a 1-year trial because they have 2 first-round picks next year, and it's going to be a loaded quarterback class. So he's got a 1-year audition. And if you don't show anything, then they're going to bring in a quarterback next year, and then you're just going to be an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing I did like about the Browns is now they have 2 first-round picks. If, say, I think the Patriots are going to be a borderline playoff team. I think that I have them sneaking into the playoffs. I was in our bold takes. But say the Patriots sucked next year. Like, they're not going to clearly take a quarterback. And the Patriots get the 1-1 or 1-2. You're like, okay, now you have the ammo to be like, okay, so we got this first-round pick. We got this first-round pick. We'll give you a next round. We've got all that ammo to move up in case some of these teams who don't need a quarterback are actually bad. So I think it's interesting there. Also, talking about the Browns, one thing that interests me too, they drafted Judkins and Dylan Sampson. I like both backs. But what does that say about Nick Chubb? Like, how healthy is Nick Chubb now? And I get you're going to have a rotation of backs, and that's just how the NFL goes now. But, like, Chubb used to be, before his injury, he was a guy who got 25 carries a game. Like, he was 25 touches a game for sure. And now you get Judkins, who is a starter level. And then Dylan Sampson, who I think in the right situation, he can run well. He ran really well last year at Tennessee. So I thought that interests me too. 2 running backs when you have Nick Chubb. So kind of made me think, how healthy is he, or how did he lose a lot of burst because of that leg injury? And that was obviously a gruesome leg injury. So it was one of those ones, like those 2 picks, what the NFL draft kind of tells you, kind of surprises you, and it tells you stuff. It's like, oh, so they do feel like they need help there, or they don't feel like they need help there. I thought that was interesting. And so we're going to we'll probably go 2 more rounds of this right now. I will go, we talked about best draft, surprising move. All right, we'll end with worst. So sleeper pick, round 3, pick 1, Timothy Gray. One of your biggest sleeper picks of this year's NFL draft. It is on you. You've got 2 minutes on the clock if you need to go look at some other things to see what's
2 minutes.
Hey, this is a podcast. We can't have people waiting in the war room.
Milk it down, have some terrible airtime.
We can't. And so last round, Brandon really came through with his pick. I love those 2 options that he had. I think the Eagles did very well there. So I think Brandon did really well last round. Shedeur Sanders, though. Sorry, I was trying to kill the dead time while you were thinking of it.
Honestly, it's hard not to. It's tough because we've kind of already talked about this guy. But in my opinion, I think the best sleeper pick would be Mike Green, all the way at 58. That's an incredible value to get him at. People had him as like the 2nd best edge rusher in this class.
Yeah,
a lot of people had him top 15, and then this off the field stuff that could blow over in the next 2 months. I think he's a guy that we could literally be talking about as like one of the next edge rushers in this league. You know, put him up in that top 5 zone. So for them to get him at 58 is pretty incredible value for it. Honestly, just like the Ravens draft in general, Stark's falling all the way. Like that's such a prime position to go. Like you get to go play next to Kyle Hamilton. Like, hell yeah.
That's a
The
great guy
Ravens
to learn from too.
Yeah, exactly.
The Ravens put themselves in a position where it's like, oh, okay, they look like they could be just go back next year and do the same thing. So it's like, okay, we'll see. I like what the Ravens did. I do like what the Ravens did. And
yeah, I wanted to go offensive guy here, but it's kind of tough for sleeper value. But yeah,
I have one of my. Hopefully I don't. Mine was maybe going to be Cam Ward, even though he was 1-1, just because he didn't get the coverage. Like I was going to say, he might be the sleeper pick.
That's a sleeper.
we didn't talk about it. We talked about it like he was the the fifth quarterback off the board. But Brandon, it's on you. Round 3, pick 2. Best sleeper pick. 2 minutes on the clock.
So I'm gonna go with Trey Harris for the Chargers, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I thought it was a pretty good draft slot for him. He's a really good receiver. Had a 1,000-yard season at Ole Miss. He's probably going to come in and be their de facto number 1 receiver outside of Ladd McConkey. Just because Quentin Johnson's not really cutting it, and they really honestly have nobody else outside of those 2 guys. Josh Palmer's not there anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and kind of flirts with a 1,000-yard season. And it's not far-fetched because we see rookie receivers do it all the time. He's a bigger target. I think he's 6'3", 205, 210. Good route runner. He's got good deep speed, can stretch the field. I would be surprised if Ladd McConkey holds everything up underneath and, Trey Harris is, downfield somewhere. And it kind of shows, too, like with their draft, like they're kind of all in on getting Herbert, the weapons that he needs. Like Mike Williams I forgot about Mike Williams. Mike Williams is back, but I don't really think Mike Williams offers you much at this point. I love the pick. I like the fact that they addressed receiver. I think everybody with a pair of eyes that watched the Chargers last year could kind of tell that they needed another receiver outside of Ladd McConkey. So I love the pick. I think he fits. And honestly, too, with how receiver fell, like with what Timmy was saying, with Ibuka going that high, and kind of the little run on receivers that they had there for a little while. I think it's a great pick for the Chargers. I think they got themselves a good quality starting receiver.
Yeah, they needed pass catchers. When Will Dissly was your second best pass catcher last year, especially towards the end of the season, that's not doing great. Like Will Dissly's solid too. Like, he played well in Seattle. Like he played well here, but like you want him as your security blanket option, maybe a red zone target with a bigger body block. Like you don't need him to be your 7 catches for 87 yards guy. Like that's not the Will Dissly that we need. But now that you've got Ladd McConkey, you've got obviously you drafted Hampton too. Not that he's going to be a receiver, but obviously going to do work there. And then now you get another receiver in the draft. I think that they're building an offense around Herbert to give him some weapons, and we'll see. This is going to be a make or break kind of year. And not that he's going to be like a bad quarterback, if not, but like, how good are you? You're supposed to be just as talented and just as good as Joe Burrow. We've seen Joe Burrow play in multiple playoffs. We've seen, obviously, Joe Burrow's a big year for him too, but let's see how good you are. Mine's actually the last pick of the first round, Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State. So I think that the knee injury is kind of what brought him back, because he was someone who was like kind of going to be top projected. And if he has the ability to be as healthy and actually have that kind of, I'm going to say, if he has the ability to reach his potential, there we go. That's how I wanted to word it. I think that he could be maybe the best tackle or one of the best tackles in this draft, because I think if he's a healthy guy last year, you see him at Ohio State, he could have been maybe 1-1 tackle-wise instead of Campbell. Maybe we've got Josh Simmons. So I think they needed offensive line help. We saw in the Super Bowl last year, they got destroyed up front, and that's because Philly's also great up front, but at the same time, both Super Bowls that they have lost, I mean, the first one was more so injury based, but they got destroyed at the point of attack, and so you need to help out Patrick Mahomes, and I think that they did that there. So I liked him I like that. And all right, Timmy. I see Timmy has another guy he wants to
run
speak.
it back.
Timmy has another guy he wants to speak on too. No, it's fine.
At the 304, I'll trade away Mike Green, I swear. One of the reasons I love the Cleveland Browns draft is because they took Harold Fannin Jr., my favorite tight end in this draft, behind Tyler Warren. This guy's an athletic freak, and I think he fits Cleveland perfectly because if Njoku gets hurt, you have Njoku 2.0. Like, I think it's going to work perfectly, flawlessly. I think he's going to ball out.
Yeah.
So I really wanted the Giants to get him, but they got Theo, so I guess he'll be fine. But Harold Fannin Jr. is my offensive sleeper pick.
Your offensive sleeper pick. Okay. I like it. We let him trade back into the third round. He traded out. But since you did trade out of the third, you traded in the third round. You traded fourth round picks with Brandon. So Brandon now is going to go first in the fourth round. So we understand he had to move back into the third, but Brandon's going to now go fourth. And so this is going to be the last category that we go with. And we've obviously talked about the best, but what's the worst pick of the draft? And it can be someone we talked about here already. Because I know what we did was we kind of bounced around here too, because talking about the draft. But worst pick in this draft. Could be any point position at any point. Could be a day 1, 2, or 3 guy. Does not make a difference. Or actually, I'm going to go worst move. Just so, like, if you feel like there's, like, a trade that was terrible or something else too. Not just a pick. Worst move of this draft.
Okay.
2 minutes on the clock. So we've talked about some pretty bad moves here. I think that Timmy going back into the third round, I think, was an insane move here. So I think Timmy got really good value there. Talking offense and defense, kind of showcasing his ability coming in. Again, I'm going to give you filler talk while we're here on waiting on the clock.
Cue the Jeopardy music. Man, I have 2, but I'm just kind of flipping back and forth between.
Oh man,
one of them.
That war room is insane right now and intense. Fourth round pick, intense in this war room.
We can tell we already talked about.
We can tell he cares.
I'm gonna go with the Falcons trading up for James Pierce. I don't hate the player. I hate the value.
Yeah.
They gave up a lot. I think they moved up from like 40. It was like 40 something up to, let's see here, 26.
26. I think it was 20 picks they moved up.
Yes.
So you give up a first next year, which with the Falcons, you really don't know if it's going to be a good first round pick, if it's going to be a bad first round pick. Like, you don't know. I understand they probably feel confident with the team they have. I mean, I think it's probably going to fall somewhere in the 13 to 20 range. But I mean, I honestly think they could have waited to the second round again to bring Mike Green back up. You could have gotten Mike Green in the second round with your second round pick.
Yep.
I would have preferred Mike Green over James Pierce. I think James Pierce is a great player. SEC pedigree at Tennessee. He's got motor issues. He takes plays off. And there were times in games last year where he just disappeared. And he was a little bit easier to block. He didn't have a lot of burst off the line, would get dominated in the run game at point in times and would get stifled in the pass game, pass rushing. I think it was 2 firsts and a mid-round pick, maybe another pick attached on top of that to move up 20 spots to get him. I don't like the value. I understand you have a glaring need of pass rush. I think they had 30 or 31 sacks. Pass rush has been a need for Atlanta for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I just can't justify. Like, I understand why you did it, but I can't justify it because you took Jalen Walker at 15. Like, you already took Jalen Walker. I understand you want to double dip, but like, you could have waited.
You could have taken Mike Green out of Marshall. Mike went 58, I want to say. So, I mean, like, you didn't have to move and could have gotten a guy like Mike Green and got a guy who is a lot of it like has a lot of the same talent that James Pierce has, but like I do agree. I like the pick a lot. The value's it's tough. The value is tough, but I really do like the player. Like I think the player can play, but I think that he's not a guy where it's Abdul Carter, where it's like, oh, he's otherworldly or generational kind of guy. I think like he could be Pro Bowl level at best kind of guy, and I feel like Mike Green can be Pro Bowl level. So like it's one of those things where you could have just gotten somebody else to do 95% of the work when you paid 120 cents on the dollar for it.
Yeah, because I looked at it like this, and it might or might not be a fair way to evaluate it, but like how I looked at it, we gave up 2 first rounders to move up to get Travis Hunter. I understand we threw in a second round. The value there was damn near the same with Atlanta. I think on the trade value chart with draft picks, I think it was a little bit off. But how I looked at it is like you're trading up for a guy like James Pierce. Like I said, great player, but like in terms of what you could have got, and I understand you don't know how the draft board's going to fall, but the thing is, if you wait until the top of the second round, if someone's still there, then trade up for them. Like I don't think a pass rusher went with Nick Skirts, and so he might have went maybe 19th or 20th. There were a couple of pass rushers that went. I know, sorry, that's the second round, but still, like I just the value to me wasn't there. Like Atlanta has needs elsewhere too. Like they could have used another corner. They could have used some offensive linemen. They lost they lost their starting center Drew Dalman. I just the value just I thought it was kind of insane, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. And due to a draft night trade, Timmy did fall to the second pick in the 4th round. So, Timmy, it's on you. Who do you draft for your worst pick or worst move of this year's draft?
You gotta let me pull it up. I'm on all these different pages.
No, you're fine. I like Brandon Stott there. I do understand the player, but I do think that Brandon is right there. I think they just gave up a little bit too much, but I wonder what Mel Kiper thinks. Mel?
No, Shedeur Sanders is still available.
I was about to say he's still talking Shedeur.
I would have taken Shedeur at 26, and I could have traded up for him too.
He didn't say Shedeur, he said Shedeur. I would have taken Shedeur at 26. I mean, this guy, I think that his ability to throw the ball accurately is just one of, if not the best in this year's draft. Like, okay,
the fact that Cam Ward went number 1 overall is just crazy. The Titans could have taken Shedeur right there. That's my number 1 player on my board, my number 1 quarterback, and he's still there. It's a great value.
Hell, I would have told the Patriots to trade Drake May to go get themselves Shedeur Sanders. I would have just said, get rid of Drake May. Shedeur is going to be one of the 5 best quarterbacks in this league by year 3. Best quarterback in this year's draft.
The Reese Davis rant.
Love a good Mel Kiper confidence.
I think Timmy Gray is on the clock, and I believe the pick is in.
We've already talked about him, but I think by far the worst pick is Tyler Shuck, like no doubt. There were 4 or 5 other quarterbacks on his level that went in the 4th and 5th round. So they could have waited. They could have gotten him later if they really wanted to. And I guess the thing with Shedeur is he didn't even really interview with the Saints because he thought he'd be gone by then. That's kind of stupid. I will say, I'll give them a little bit of credit here. The Kelvin Banks pick, I actually like it a lot. I think he's going to be a great tackle for them.
Yes.
He fell a lot, but he was at one point projected to be the number 1 overall tackle, number 1 offensive lineman taken off the board. So I do like that. But the Tyler Shuck, he's not going to be your fit. Honestly, like a lot of people are comping him to Derek Carr, like at this point in his career. And if that's the case, then you're just moving laterally. You're not pushing your franchise forward anymore. Part of me thinks that they're just trying to lose again so that they'll have a top pick where next year's draft is good again, and then they can get a guy then. But I just really hated the pick. It just sounds like the very first clip I see of him is him like swirling around and throwing a pick like really stupidly. I'm sure you guys have all seen.
Aw shucks is going to be what we call him.
Yeah.
He's literally aw shucks.
That's going to be like the most common sign held up in the stadium. Yeah.
Yes.
26 years old, rookie quarterback. That's Brandon Wheaton 2.0.
That is Brandon Whedon 2.0. Like, that's like, I thought 26. I was like, the second I saw 26 years old, I was like, he played at Louisville, 26. I was like, the first thing, because I did not know that he had transferred both. I was like, did he play behind Lamar? Like, did he play No, he didn't play behind Lamar. He just played behind Justin Herbert. So it's like, wait a second. You played
Guy that's
behind
only been in the
Justin
league for a
Herbert, and
couple
you're
years
just getting
now.
drafted
Okay.
now. You're just getting drafted now. Like, what's going on? Like, and Timmy took my pick, so I'm on the clock here with the last pick of, I got Mr.
Good pick,
Irrelevant,
Timmy.
and my pick's gonna be Mr. Irrelevant. So if you guys can give me some Shedeur, Mel Kiper in
Here,
between.
I'll give you my opinion on the Falcons, because to be completely honest with you, I don't actually mind the Falcons trade up into round one.
Ooh.
I think Pierce could be a very, very good edge rusher for them. He was
Great.
also a guy that a lot of people had top 10 before the character issues, before the motor issues started to really surface there. The Falcons are calling their shot. They did this last year when they took Penix. They said, hey, we're not going to be picking at 8 anymore. I think their belief is this year we're going to take a new step, and our first round pick is basically going to be a second round pick next year, because we're going to be picking like 27th. Is they're putting all their belief into that. So to give up a first, a second, and a 7th to then get the 26th overall and a 3rd isn't crazy to move up and get a guy that can be an impact player for you if they can figure out the character issues and the motor issues. So I don't mind it. I think them getting Walker early and then taking Pierce kind of solidifies their defense right here. This has been a really big issue for them. We saw them trade for Judon, and that didn't work out. So this is them, at least swinging at a ball. They might not have made full contact, but they might be batting somebody in here. So I like it.
Okay. So my pick is in, and mine is, I don't think that this guy is going to be at all bad. I just would have went the other way. And it is Colston Loveland going before Tyler Warren for me. And I get Loveland's really good, and I don't think that he's going to be bad production-wise for the Bears. I just think Tyler Warren's better. And so I think the fact that, like when the Cowboys didn't get Tyler Warren because he fell, I thought that Tyler Warren was going to be as high as we talked about earlier, as 7 to the Jets, or just I thought he was going to be one of those higher guys. And so I didn't love the Loveland pick over Warren, even though I think Loveland's going to be good. I genuinely don't think he's a bad player. I just like Warren more. And again, and that might have been a panicked pick because Tyler Shuck was mine. All Shucks was really the tagline here. So it might be a panicked pick. And then my war room was not ready for a pick 2. I should have traded with Timmy, but instead Brandon snuck it there. Unfortunate.
I think the Loveland pick is very interesting to me. I remember as the pick happened, Camden texted me and was like, what do you think about that pick? And I was like, before Warren, in my opinion, is crazy. But it is Ben Johnson. I'm assuming he saw something that he liked. And then now the reports is that they were viewing Loveland as Sam Laporta. They thought that he had a lot of the same traits as Laporta. And that's exactly where Ben Johnson came from, is Laporta. So if he thinks he's going to be Laporta, that's a home run. And it doesn't necessarily matter if they take him at 10, if they move back to 16 and take him. Just get your guy in the first. Let's get him a rookie deal worth 5 years and go for it. So I don't mind it. Exactly. He must have been higher on their board because at 10 is just a little rich, but it's probably going to work out. My real confusion of it is Cole Kmet is still on the roster, and they did dedicate. He did, and they dedicated a lot of money to him. So is he going to come in and, be 50-50 on snaps, or are they just going to push Cole Kmet aside? I have no idea.
I don't know.
And then, on top of that, they take Luther Burden, who's not going to be their wide receiver 3, behind Rome and DJ Moore. So now you're kind of just loaded on talent. Can really muddy the water for Loveland. It might just be he's not even really that involved, but he can block really well or whatever. But I don't know. It is a very confusing pick. I agree.
Yeah. I wonder if they take Banks if he's there. I wonder if I know they have all I wonder if they take Banks or something like that if he's there.
I think
We'll see.
And that just goes to show you they're all in on Caleb Williams. Like it's like it's.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's make or break for him, but like
It's a prove it year.
yeah, you gotta prove something. Same thing for Trevor too. Like
Yeah,
throw him in there. Like
you
I think Trevor's
can't
got the most
be
to prove this year.
you can't be that highly touted and not live up early. Like it's especially and it sucks. Like it's easier a little bit for Trevor because unless I'm forgetting a guy, there's not a guy who popped in that draft. I don't think like a quarterback wise. Like I don't think there was a quarterback, but like when Jaden Daniels is 2 and we just saw him in the NFC Championship game, and though they got beat badly, he played really well.
Yeah, you're on a timeline.
Okay, and then I'm looking at Drake May. It's like, okay, if J.J. McCarthy comes out this year, okay, Penix, okay, Bo Nix, okay. It's like you see all of these guys, and you're like, oh, Caleb, why aren't you as good as these other ones? So, like, we'll see. And it's not like you don't have the talent around you. You've got the number 1. You've got the number 2. You now got the top tight end. You've got everything you need. Now it's time to go show. So, well, this concludes our NFL recap draft that we had here. I like the picks. I like what we have here. Does anyone have any last words to say before we close out the show tonight?
Shedeur Sanders should have went number 1 overall.
Most accurate QB, best arm in the class. He's mobile. I love how during the whole time he doesn't say any negative thing about Shedeur. Like I swear he was paid to just hype him up.
And it's one of those things where it's like, guys, like the interviews that we heard, like apparently like they were that bad where it's like, oh man, okay.
Like apparently with the Giants, they were running, Daboll had him install an offense. And when he wasn't fully educated on it, where he should have been, whereas Cam Ward was and whereas all these other QBs were, Daboll pushed him on it and he clapped back at Daboll saying like, what, like, don't push me, whatever. You can't not respond to criticism like that in the NFL. You got to show teams that you're willing to learn. And if you don't know, you're going to figure it out. So
yeah.
They must have been terrible interviews. I read multiple reports saying that some of the worst interviews that they've ever had before were with Sanders.
And like you looked him off a little bit early, but then it's like, well, he's a 5th round guy now. We had him as a 1st round grade going as high as 2. Like that, like going to the Browns was a real question, just not in the 5th round, but as the number 2 pick in the draft. So like, it was just crazy to think that the Browns got him as their last pick of the draft, not their first pick of the draft. But no, that Shedeur is obviously the biggest story line of it. But I do think I'm glad we obviously joked around, but there was so much good in this draft, and there's so many good players in this draft. Like, though this wasn't a star-studded quarterback draft, I think there's a lot of players that can be really good. Like, we didn't even mention McMillan. I think he could help elongate Bryce's career there. We didn't really mention Genty, and Genty could obviously be a very high-level back there for Oakland. Obviously, I said Oakland, Keenan. What are we doing, Las Vegas? Calm down. I want it to be Oakland, but it's Las Vegas. There's just a lot of talented players in this draft, and there's always going to be sleepers that we didn't mention, didn't think of. It's going to be some 5th round guy. You're like, oh my God, he's really good. So, but this was very fun. This is the conclusion of the draft, which is going to be the conclusion of the podcast. This was Keenan. This was Timmy. This was Brandon. Warner Brothas Podcast. I appreciate everybody liking, subscribing, commenting, everything that we've been doing. And we'll be seeing all of you guys very soon.